I've been teaching metal vocals, specifically extreme vocalization, for 7 years now, a little bit over 7 years. And while I teach a lot of different sounds, I help people make all sorts of noises. Most of the time, people come to me wanting to learn a handful of specific sounds. And one of those sounds is the bassline false chord sound. It sounds like this. I'm sure you've heard it before. With the resurgence of all this MySpace revival deathcore coming around, I've had an extreme uptick in people wanting to learn how to do this. So I wanted to make a short video giving you the basics of how to introduce yourself to this sound. Now, it's a long journey. There's a lot to it, but here are some of the main points, as well as some preconceived notions you may have that I'm going to deconstruct to help you make sense of this sound. The first thing I want you to understand is that this sound is based on things that our body is able to do. Right? We call this a false chord growl. There's a lot more to it than that, and I go a lot more into detail with my students and in my courses about that. But essentially, I want you to understand that this sound specifically, it's been called false chord for a long time, but I don't want you to think about just the false chords moving. There's arytenoids. There's, for me, a little bit of epiglottal movement. All of those things are fine. I want to just focus on getting a relaxed with you today. Now, there are many methods to getting into this false chord sound, to getting it to work, but there are a couple things that are really important. I want you to listen very closely because these are some of the biggest misconceptions that my students will come to me with, or that people outside of my teaching will have, that if we can break these down before you even start, you're going to have a much better time at this. Misconception one is that when you start, this should feel and sound like a scream. It shouldn't, it won't, it can't. That doesn't mean it's wrong or that there's not a clear path. One of my favorite analogies to use with my students is like, if you have a spoonful of flour and you eat it and it tastes terrible, that doesn't mean you don't use it to make bread, right? The starting sounds for this growl, this that you can lift into other spaces, it's a starting sound. It's just that. The second misconception is that it should feel unnatural. Now, nobody has come to me and said, hey, Mark, I want to learn this false chord growl, especially with all these bands doing it more and more now. I'm pretty sure this should feel alien to me. Nobody thinks that, but our subconscious mind thinks that. Every single student I've ever had, everybody who's ever taken my online courses, they have wanted to do this because they hear people making sounds that to them sound impossible. And they want to learn those impossible sounds. And so their brain internalizes these sounds as being impossible. They're not. Your body is built to do this. And that gets me to preconceived notion number 3 that I want you to get rid of, is that your body might just not be able to do this. When we are rattling around these tissues, we're bringing them together and making them rattle in a way that is important for our survival. Now, that's not me saying deathcore, death metal vocals are required to survive, but if the tissues above your vocal cords cannot close, you would have choked, you would have died, because when food goes down the wrong way, what kicks out all of that food? When we swallow, what closes to make sure that the food or the water goes down the esophagus and not through the vocal cords and into the trachea? It's the supraglottal tissues, the tissues above. So this is one of my most commonly used sounds. I want you to go ahead and do it with me. And we're going to preface this by saying you should be able to do this in a restaurant with nobody looking at you weird, right? That's what I want you to hold on to, right? I'll show you what I mean. So what I want you to do is I want you to gently, very quietly, just kind of cough a little bit, right? Gently, just kind of quietly cough a little bit. And I want you to do it in a specific way. First, your lips are together. You're making a little bit of space in your mouth. I also want you to feel the rumble kind of in your nose, right? And remember, you're trying to make a sound of somebody gently clearing their throat at a restaurant, right? Sorry, everybody. You can even test it out next time you go out to eat. Just kind of throw out a quick, did anybody look at you weird? Did you sound out of place? If not, you're actually probably doing it right. Yes, these sounds should be natural because we're not misusing our body. We're using our body in a way that it makes sense to use it with, right? Now, at this point, you might pause the video and you might hang on to it for a couple of days, a couple of weeks. You might stay here, right? But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take this. Just get used to holding it. Next, what I want you to do is I want you to no grit, make an noise like you're talking, right? Lips together, jaw dropped like you got a mouthful of food or a mouthful of water. Now, we're not making these sounds for no reason. We need to know what we're looking for. We need to know which sensations in our body mean that we're doing this correctly. Number one, there's not a lot of force, right? I'm not, right? There's no sense of punch or push on my vocal folds. I'm not getting tired. I'm not getting fatigued. These are still in the stage of normal everyday sounds that people would make. You can make these at work. You can make them walking down the street. You can make them in the grocery store. Nobody would think you were weird if you were holding up your phone and you were like, look at me doing the phone like this. Jesus Christ. Look at all that gray in my hair. That's why. We want these sounds to resonate, to buzz, to vibrate in the front of our face. When I do this, there's a lot of vibration in the front of the face. Right? Now you may notice, and this is true for almost everybody I've ever worked with, not everybody, but almost everybody, that the sound with the vibration sounds like throat singing, right? Is a higher pitch a little bit than this. That's okay. That's by design. If they're not different pitches, that's okay. It might be a little bit difficult, but it's still doable, right? If the pitches are different, if they're separated, that's okay. Here's what you do. You are going to think about taking that throat cleary vibraty sound, right? And you're going to think about it rolling down the front of your face to the other sound. Kind of weird, but bear with me here. We want to put all of our attention here. We want to kind of trick our brain into not thinking about the throat, because the moment anybody starts thinking about their throat, they tend to overconstrict. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And we don't need that. We don't want that. So we're going to put all of our attention on the front of the face. We're going to think about the buzz. The buzz is the only thing on my mind. I'm taking this. It's going to feel like it's starting to break up. It's going to feel like it's starting to fall apart. Resist the urge to squeeze. Don't squeeze on it. Instead of squeezing here in the throat, we're going to squeeze with our abs. Let me show you what I mean. Go ahead and do this. Ideally, you can do a lip bubble or a tongue trill. If not, that's okay. We can just do like a Z into an S. But here's how each one of them sounds. This is a little calibration, okay? Lip bubble. Do you feel how my abdominal muscles squeezed? Do you feel how my abdominal muscles? Of course you didn't feel. If you're out there and you can feel my abdominal muscles and you got some freaky psychic powers, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Get off my channel. Go away. What I meant to say is, did you feel your abdominal muscles squeeze? Right? Notice I'm not letting the air fall all over the floor. Straight line. Tongue roll. Now, again, you can use a Z into an S. It's not quite as useful, but it does help if you can't do the lip roll or the tongue trill. Now, again, we're not making sounds for no reason. What was the point of that? It was to feel what it sounds like to lean into a sound that is less voiced. Lean into a sound that is less voiced, right? I go from, which is a combination of and or I'm going back and forth between those, and I'm looking for a couple things. Number one, like I mentioned, your abdominal muscles are going to engage. They're going to squeeze. Second, you're not going to be squeezing your throat. There are many vocal styles where you do squeeze the tissues above your throat. But this is just not that. Now, before I show you this last part, it is imperative that I let you know you will not learn this in the runtime of this video. this video is going to be something that you watch and something that you try and something that probably won't work the first, second, fifth, 10th, or 15th time. But over time, if you are patient and you are kind to yourself, you will find success. It may not be the exact same sound that I'm doing, but invite that, allow that in. If it's comfortable, doesn't make your voice hurt, and it sounds neat, then you're on the right track. So I'm going to take that same feeling, the same feeling of I'm going to take that same feeling in my abdominal muscles and in my throat, which feels like nothing. And when I start to feel the cargria, is this throat singing sound that a lot of people will talk about, I'm going to start to take that throat singing sound. Again, sorry, everybody. And as I tilt it down, as I let it roll down the front of my face, okay, let it roll down the front of my face. When it starts to break apart, instead of squeezing here, I'm going to make this transition, right? So it's going to sound like this. Oh, there you go. Right there. Whoa. Whoa. Right there. Hey. Yay. Now, a couple of things. The reason we keep the lips together is to feel the vibration better in the front of the face. And if you feel a tickly sort of burning sensation in the top of your throat, what you want to do is you want to think about giving it a little bit of, take this. And instead of going, you want to be bright. We always want to sound bright so you can take it. You can redo this whole exercise like you've been smoking for 46 years, right? Hello, I've been smoking for way too long, right? As an ex-smoker myself, I'm very glad I didn't smoke long enough for this to be my actual voice. A lot of people don't know that. I used to smoke like a pack a day for years. I quit and you can too. Okay, cool. But what does this sound like in practice? Well, in reality, there's a lot you can do with it. You can pull it up into a high. You can tunnel it. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to show you what this sounds like in a song that I'm releasing soon. Let's check it out. Whoa, how cool is that? Oh, there's more. Whoa, scene change, professional level quality. Homie just learned how to use OBS in 2026. Anyway, so this is a song called Gratuitous. I had it professionally written by Jacob Lazat of Dark Cabin Studios. Thank you for your hard work. I did all the I recorded and wrote all the vocal parts. And actually, cool fact about this song is going to feature a student of mine who I actually flew out from Oklahoma, put him up in a hotel, and we got a music video. done. It's going to be really cool. I'm not sure when it's coming out. But anyways, so this is Gratuitous. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to embellish this a little bit. Like I said, I'll throw some tunnels around and things like this. But anyways, actually, let's go on this track. I like that one a little bit better. All right, let's check this out. Oh, I got to burp. All right, this is a sneak peek Gratuitous. Here we go. Hey. Yeah, throw tighty. I bid thee, I beg thee, be still. Place a kisser on the edge of my blade. And rapture me, So there it is, a super quick start, very concise guide on how to get into these sounds that are even more popular now than they were. I mean, they've never gone anywhere, but they certainly have risen into some popularity. And if you're brand new, if you don't even know how to approach this stuff, check out my free course in the description below. It's called How to Scream from Zero. It's specifically made to help you know what to do with your voice if you've never done it before. And again, it's free. It costs $0 just because I think it's helpful and it's playful and it's fun. So many thanks, much love. I'm out.